Hi folks, how you doing? I'm Ross Minton. This is Grow Your Own Life. Please like and subscribe. As always, that would be amazing. I'm desperately trying to grow the channel so it can become more of a part-time income for me and my family on our self-sufficient journey. And so any likes, any subscribes, any comments, greatly appreciated, because it pushes me up that YouTube algorithm and hopefully earns me a few more pennies. But if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links below. I also sell original artwork, and I've also got an Amazon wish list, and anyone who buys anything from my Amazon wish list will get a piece of original artwork, not a print, an original piece of artwork to equal value. I'm trying to work it out. I don't like getting free stuff. I like giving things back. So if you buy something that's worth a £5, I'll send you a piece of artwork which I think is worth, you know, £5 to £10 and so on. And if you're one of those people that wants to go nuts and buy something that's £20 or £30, then obviously I will do you a larger piece of artwork. So thank you very much. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to get straight to it. I've got some old seeds here. These are seeds that just came in a UK newspaper, and they're out of date by 2 years, but we're going to sow them anyway. So in there's tomatoes, there's cucumbers, there's lettuce, there's spring onions. So let's get them in the ground, shall we? So let's talk about seeds, shall we? I thought these seeds were out of date. They're actually not, but I had them since 2019, and they've been stored in the shed. And as you can see, they've even been chewed by a mouse. So a lot of people will say things like, you've got to use fresh seeds and obviously store them correctly or they won't germinate. Yeah, in some instances that's the case, but in a lot of instances, no. Other than things like parsnips, most seeds are pretty resilient buggers. If you think about it, they found seeds in the pyramids, and those seeds were there for, what, 3,000–4,000 years? And they grew. There's seeds that they found in peat bogs that have grown. So you can pretty much, you just got to trial and error these with old seeds. Yeah, they might not have the same germination rate, and by that I mean you might sow 10 seeds and only 5 or 4 grow, and maybe fresh seeds you might get all 10 or not 8 or 9 to grow. But really and truthfully, there's nothing wrong with sowing old seeds. Right, we've got these Tomatoes Delight unopened packet. We'll start with them. Put those to one side. Now, you don't need anything fancy to grow seeds. I've got some old plastic pots here that an old gardener gave me. I've got loads of the little fellas. I don't mind these, they're okay, and I know you shouldn't use plastic, but I'm going to use them until the point comes that I need to recycle them or get rid of them, because it would be wasteful to throw that away just for the sake of it being plastic. It's still a good pot. As are these, they're still good pots. But if you haven't got pots and you don't want to use plastic things, you can use an egg carton. That is 6 pots ready for a plant. The other side of it is a seed tray. Put that in a little plastic tray. Here we go. If we just cut that off, I don't want to rip it, because knowing my luck, I'll rip it and I'll rip the other side. But if we just cut that off there, and we don't need that bit there either. Now you could quite easily grow 6 tomatoes in there. To start them off, obviously you couldn't grow big plants in there, but you could start the seeds off in there. And then that, you could put your lettuce in there, your spring onions, and you could start them off in there. And then all you've got to do is put that inside some kind of plastic tray, or a wooden tray even if you've got one, like that. And then it's easy to lift out. It'll be easy to rip and break open to get the plants out, to plant them in the ground. So there's nothing wrong with using things like that. Another tip, toilet rolls. If you use toilet paper or kitchen paper, you have toilet rolls. Now, you can cut them in half like this. Give them a squish so they become more square, like so. Stack them inside a pot. And again, you have another 6 plants, or 6 pots to plant in. You can even do this. Get another toilet paper tube. Oh, there's 2 in there. There we go, move that out of the way. And just cut 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. And then tuck the ends in. Oh, there we go. Like this. Give them a bit of a crease. And that is pretty much a self-contained pot. Once that is full of compost, that'll be perfect for most big plants, even beans, cucumbers, all sorts will grow in there. And then once it's at a decent height, you can take it out and plant it into the ground. So don't be put off gardening thinking you need all this fancy posh equipment, because you don't. You can start gardening with some old cardboard that you've got lying around your house. As for compost, soil, dirt, whatever you want to call it, to start growing in, you can pretty much use whatever you want. Dirt is obviously, and soil is what you will get out of the ground. It's got rock dust and everything in it, and it's you know, the natural covering of the earth. I always thought compost and dirt was the same thing, or compost and soil was the same thing, but it's actually not. And I didn't know that till a couple of years ago. But compost is basically rotted down organic. But compost is basically rotted down organic matter, which this is just bog standard British multi-purpose compost. As you can see in there, that looks like some kind of husk. It's probably coconut fibre. There's all sorts in there. This was cheap. This was the cheapest compost I could find, and that will be perfect for growing in. So right, we're going to start with the egg cups, shall we? Egg cups, the egg box, Roscoe. So we're going to put some soil in there, put some compost in there even. Doesn't matter what you call it though, you don't need to get hung up by the correct terms. Soil, dirt, it's the brown stuff that seeds grow in. That's all you need to know for now. Unless you're doing a degree in horticulture and farming, to be fair, call it whatever you like, it doesn't matter. A bit more in there. There we go. Now we're just going to put one tomato seed in each one of those. Just top tip, just flick the packet because it helps the seeds fall to the bottom, because sometimes they get stuck in the seal. You can see there's actually one seed stuck there. So we'll open it from this end so we don't waste that seed. Now tomato seeds are very fiddly, but as you can see my fingers don't work properly because I've got a weird muscle condition. So if I can sow tomato seeds, most people can. But if you can't, there's plenty of things out there you can use. You could use a pair of eyebrow tweezers if you want. I've used those in the past. You can also get really good seed sowing devices, suction cups and syringes and all kinds of things. But there we have the tomato seeds. Can you just see them there? Just teeny tiny things. Look like teeny tiny fleas. Oh, I'd lost one, I think. There we go. Anyway, let's get them in there. As I said, with my fingers that don't work very well, if I can do it, then most people can. I'm not going to say all people, because obviously that wouldn't be very inclusive to those that struggle worse than me with dexterity. But hey ho, there we go. Oh, there's two gone in there. But if you can't sow seeds yourself because of dexterity issues or whatever reason, maybe ask a friend, or try growing things like beans or peas that's are really big seeds, and we'll sow some of them in a bit. I've actually gone for 2 in each one of those because, to be fair, they're old seeds, and we give it a whirl. Oh, there's actually 2 there. So there we go, 2 in each one. I like to press them down just a little bit, just make sure the seed hasn't stuck to your fingers, and then I like to cover them up again, just a sprinkling. Some people sieve their compost, some don't. Some people will tell you have to sieve it. Some people will say you have to use things like vermiculite and perlite and all that kind of stuff. No, you don't. In the wild, in nature, seeds don't have all that fancy stuff. All that fancy stuff does is improve your chances of getting a plant. It doesn't mean you won't get a plant. And then you've got to water it. Now look, it's an old cherry aid bottle, which I've stabbed some holes in. Ready? And that's a watering can out of something that was going to be thrown away. And for seeds, these are brilliant because they're not too powerful. If I got a proper watering can on this, it would absolutely destroy the compost, wash all the seeds everywhere, and I'd have to start all over again. But that is potentially 12 tomato seeds sown with old seeds. If I'm lucky, I'll get 6 tomatoes out of there. If I'm really lucky, all 12 will pop up. But at the end of the day, if you don't get the seeds in the dirt, in the compost, in the soil, they aren't going to grow. So just get them in there and see what it leads to. Now we need a label for those, really and truthfully, so we don't mix them up with anything else. That's just obviously the end of the egg box. We'll get my scissors and we'll make a little label out of this. It's not going to last very long, but tomatoes are once tomatoes get their leaves, they're very obvious what they are. So I'm not too worried about getting these confused. I'm not even going to put Gardener's Delight down because it doesn't really bother me what variety it is. So I'm just going to put Tom. That was my great granddad's name, my granddad Tom. So there we go. I'm going to put that somewhere nice and warm. You could put it on your windowsill, you could put it in a heated greenhouse. It's probably a little bit too cold now, March in the UK, to just leave this in an unheated greenhouse, because tomatoes like it a little bit warm just to germinate. But it won't hurt if you do leave it in an unheated greenhouse. It won't hurt at all. So there we go. Tomatoes done.